I work nights because buildings tell the truth after midnight. During the day, everything is noise and movement. People fill spaces, mistakes get covered, and strange things are explained away before anyone has time to notice them. At night, there are no excuses, just lights, shadows, and whatever is still there when everyone else leaves. Before this story goes any further, you need to understand something. I wasn't tired, I wasn't distracted, and I wasn't alone in my head. What happened that night wasn't something I imagined. It was something the cameras refused to see. If you've ever worked night shifts, if you've ever trusted security footage more than your own eyes, stay with me. The building I worked in was old, not abandoned, just forgotten enough that no one paid attention to its habits anymore. Offices during the day, silence at night. One security guard per shift, one receptionist at the front desk until midnight. After that, it was just me and the cameras. The elevators were original, heavy metal doors, manual handles, the kind that announced themselves when they moved. You could hear them from anywhere in the lobby, the clank of the doors, the groan of cables waking up. That night, everything sounded normal. Until 2:30 a.m., I was doing my routine walk through the lobby when I noticed the boy. He was standing in front of the elevator, still, too still. At first, my brain tried to fix the image. Someone's kid, lost visitor, nightmare for liability paperwork. But none of those explanations fit. He wasn't scared. He wasn't crying. He wasn't looking around for help. He was just waiting. The clothes were wrong, not torn, not dirty, old. The kind of clothes you don't see anymore unless they're in a photograph. Too formal for a child, too deliberate to be a costume. I slowed my steps. "Hey," I said gently. "You okay?" He didn't turn his head, didn't react, didn't blink. I glanced toward the security desk. The receptionist was still there, sipping coffee, half watching his phone. He hadn't noticed anything. That unsettled me more than it should have. I took another step closer. "Are you waiting for someone?" I asked. That's when the boy moved. He reached for the elevator door, pulled it open, smoothly, effortlessly. The sound echoed through the lobby, metal on metal, the unmistakable sound of an old elevator waking up. "Oh, thanks," I said automatically. The words came out before my brain caught up. I stepped inside. The elevator smelled like cold air and old oil. The light flickered once, then stabilized. I turned back toward the boy. He stepped in with me. The doors closed. That's when I saw the reflection, not in the mirror inside the elevator, in the polished metal of the doors, the security desk far behind us, and the receptionist standing there, frozen, white as paper, staring straight at the elevator, not at the boy, at me. I raised my hand and waved. He didn't wave back. He shook his head slowly, like he was watching something that shouldn't exist. The elevator lurched upward. The cables groaned. We began to rise. I swallowed. "What floor?" I asked the boy. He lifted his hand, pressed a button. 4, not my floor. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. The hallway beyond was dark, unlit, silent. The boy stepped out, didn't look back, didn't hesitate. The doors closed again. The elevator continued upward. By the time I reached my floor, my hands were shaking. I didn't finish my patrol. I went straight back to the security desk. "What's wrong with you?" I asked the receptionist. "Why were you staring like that?" He didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, then at the cameras, then back at me. "You were alone," he said. My stomach dropped. I didn't answer him right away. I stood there staring at the receptionist, waiting for him to laugh, waiting for him to tell me he was joking, that he'd missed the kid, that the angle was bad or the lighting was off. He didn't laugh. He didn't blink. "You were alone," he repeated. "That's not funny," I said. "I'm not joking." He turned the monitor toward me. The footage was already paused. Lobby camera, wide angle, clear image. "There," he said, tapping the screen. "That's when you came in." I leaned closer. On the video, I walked into the lobby alone. No boy, no shadow beside me, no second reflection. I watched myself slow down in front of the elevator. I watched myself stop. My mouth moved. I was talking to no one. "That's when you started answering him," the receptionist whispered. My chest tightened. "No," I said. "He was right there." He scrubbed forward a few seconds. On the video, the elevator doors opened, slowly, by themselves. My hand wasn't on the handle. I wasn't touching anything. The doors just opened. I felt cold spread through my arms. "That elevator needs manual force," I said. "It doesn't open on its own." "I know," he replied. On the footage, I stepped inside, alone. I stood still for a moment like I was listening. Then the doors closed. The receptionist paused the video again. "This is the part that made me feel sick," he said. He zoomed in on the security desk reflection, the same one I remembered seeing in the metal doors. From this angle, I could see his face clearly. He wasn't pale because he was scared. He was pale because he was watching me talk to someone he couldn't see, and then watching the elevator respond. He played the video again, slower, frame by frame. No child, no glitch, no distortion. "I thought you were messing with me," he said. "Until this." The footage cut to the elevator camera. Interior view, just me, standing alone. Then something impossible happened. I nodded, answered a question, shifted my weight as if someone was standing beside me. The elevator started moving, up. "That's when I thought maybe there was someone behind you," the receptionist said. "Some blind spot." He pulled up another angle. Same result, just me. The elevator stopped. 4th floor. The doors opened. Empty hallway. No movement, no sound. The receptionist paused the video. "You didn't touch anything," he said. "I watched it 5 times. On screen, the doors stayed open for 3 seconds, then closed. I stared at the monitor. He got off," I whispered. The receptionist shook his head. "No one did." We stood there in silence. The hum of the monitors suddenly felt too loud. "That floor is locked at night," he said slowly. "No access after midnight." I felt my throat tighten. "Then why did it stop there?" He swallowed. "I checked the system logs," he said. "There was no request, no button pressed, no override, no error. The elevator had chosen the 4th floor. A new realization crept in, something I hadn't noticed before. "Play it again," I said. He rewound. This time, I watched myself step into the elevator, watched the doors close, watched my head turn slightly. "Pause," I said. He did. In the reflection of the doors, my eyes weren't looking forward. They were looking down, at someone shorter than me. The receptionist whispered, "You weren't alone." A chill ran through me. "He pressed the button," I said. The receptionist nodded. "I saw your hand stay still. The cameras didn't show him, but the elevator responded to him. That's when the sound came back. Not footsteps, not breathing, a soft ding. The elevator arriving, downstairs. Both of us turned toward the lobby. The elevator doors were opening again. The elevator doors opened. Empty. No footsteps, no movement, no sound except the tired hum of cables settling back into place. The receptionist and I stood frozen, watching from behind the desk like we were afraid the elevator might notice us if we moved. "It shouldn't be coming down," he whispered. "Why?" I asked. "Because it never went up," he replied. He pulled up the elevator log. The screen showed a clean timeline. 2:31 a.m. Elevator activated 2:32 a.m. Elevator stopped, floor 4, 2:32 a.m. Doors opened 2:32 a.m. Doors closed 2:33 a.m. Elevator idle, no return trip, no descent. According to the system, the elevator never came back down. And yet, there it was. Doors open, waiting. I felt a tightness in my chest. "He's still inside," I said before I could stop myself. The receptionist looked at me slowly. "No," he said, "you were the only one inside." The elevator doors stayed open longer than they should have. Old elevators weren't patient. They closed when they were done. This one felt like it was waiting for permission. "Close it," I said. "I'm not touching anything," he replied immediately. The doors closed on their own, slowly, carefully, as if something inside didn't want to rush. The elevator began to move again, up. The receptionist swore under his breath. "It's going back to the 4th floor," he said. "How do you know?" I asked. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The floor indicator above the doors flickered. 2, 3, then it skipped, straight to 4. The elevator stopped. The ding echoed softly through the lobby. On the monitor, the 4th floor camera came alive. I had never seen that feed before, not because it didn't exist, because no one ever looked at it. The hallway was narrow, too narrow for modern regulations. The lights were dimmer there, casting shadows that felt heavier than the ones below. And the walls looked older. "That doesn't match the rest of the building," I whispered. The receptionist leaned closer to the screen. "That floor was sealed years ago," he said, "after the renovation. What happened up there?" He hesitated. "Someone fell." The elevator doors opened on the 4th floor. The hallway was empty. But I felt the same sensation I'd felt in the lobby, the feeling of someone waiting just outside the frame. On the video, the door stayed open. 3 seconds, 5, 10. The receptionist whispered, "Why won't it close?" I didn't answer. I was staring at something else. At the far end of the hallway, a shadow moved, not across the floor, along the wall, low, child height. "Rewind," I said. He did, frame by frame. The shadow didn't appear suddenly. It grew, as if something stepped closer to the light. Then the elevator doors closed. The shadow disappeared. The hallway went still again. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. "That was him," I said. The receptionist shook his head. "The cameras don't pick up children well," he muttered weakly. I looked at him. That wasn't a camera problem. The elevator began descending. This time, the logs updated. 2:36 a.m. Elevator descending. Like the system had decided to start telling the truth again. The doors opened in the lobby. Empty. The receptionist exhaled shakily. "I'm calling maintenance," he said. I grabbed his wrist. "Don't." He stared at me. "Why not?" "Because I already knew the answer." "He didn't leave," I said. "He just went where the cameras stopped paying attention." We stood there in silence. Then the lights flickered. Not in the lobby. On the 4th floor feed, the camera adjusted on its own, tilted slightly downward. And in the corner of the frame, something stepped into view. The figure in the corner of the screen didn't move. That was the worst part. It didn't rush. It didn't flicker. It didn't vanish when the camera adjusted. It stood there, half lit, like it had learned exactly where the frame ended. The receptionist's voice shook. "You see that too, right?" I nodded slowly. For the first time since the night began, the cameras had finally agreed with my eyes, but only a little. The image sharpened. Not enough to show a face, just a shape, small shoulders, a narrow frame, too still to be a trick of light. Then the camera tilted again, just a few degrees, like someone nudging it. The figure stepped backward, out of view. The elevator doors in the lobby dinged softly. Both of us flinched. The indicator lit up. 4. "It's calling you," the receptionist whispered. "I didn't press anything," I replied. "I know." I felt it then. Not fear, not exactly. Recognition. The same feeling you get when someone says your name in a crowd before you've seen them. "I'm going up," I said. The receptionist grabbed my arm. "No. Whatever that is, it only showed up when you were there. That's exactly why I have to," I replied. The elevator doors opened. Empty, waiting. The ride up felt longer than it should have. The cables groaned like they were being pulled awake against their will. The light flickered, dimming briefly between floors. Halfway up, the elevator stopped. Not at a floor, just stopped. The lights went out, then came back on. I saw the reflection in the metal doors again. Not the lobby, not the security desk. Something lower, standing beside me. I didn't turn. "Are you coming with me?" I asked quietly. The elevator started moving again. Up. The doors opened on the 4th floor. Cold air spilled in. The hallway smelled old. Not dusty, but unused. Like a place that had learned how to stay quiet. The walls were closer here. The ceiling lower. The lights hummed softly, unevenly. This floor didn't belong to the rest of the building. The elevator doors closed behind me. I was alone, or so it looked. I walked slowly down the hallway. Each step echoed differently, like the floor was hollow beneath the tiles. At the far end, I saw it again, the boy, standing exactly where the camera had shown him. Up close, the details felt wrong. His shoes were scuffed, but not dirty. His clothes were neat, but outdated. And his eyes looked like they were waiting for something to finish. "You live here?" I asked. He shook his head. "No," he said softly. The sound of his voice made my stomach twist. It sounded like it hadn't been used much. "Why can only I see you?" I asked. He looked at the elevator doors behind me. "Because you listen," he replied. A chill ran through me. "What happened here?" I asked. The lights flickered. Somewhere behind the walls, something shifted. "They stopped hearing me," the boy said, "so I learned to ride the quiet parts." I felt the floor vibrate slightly, the elevator moving without me. The boy looked down the hallway. "They don't come up here anymore," he continued, "but the building remembers." A door at the end of the hall creaked open, slow, just enough to reveal darkness beyond. "That's where it happened," the boy said. "What happened?" I asked. He hesitated. "Then, they closed the doors too fast." The lights dimmed. The elevator dinged again. Somewhere below, the boy took a step toward the open door. "You shouldn't stay," he said. "It's starting to notice you." "Notice what?" I asked. The walls hummed. The floor vibrated. The camera feed on my radio crackled to life. The receptionist's voice broke through. "Get out of there," he whispered urgently. "The elevator's moving again." The boy looked back at me, smiled faintly. Not happy, relieved. "It knows you can hear me now," he said. "So it won't let you forget." The elevator doors opened at the far end of the hallway. Waiting, the elevator doors stayed open. They didn't rush. They didn't threaten. They waited. The hallway felt tighter now, like the walls had leaned in while I wasn't looking. The lights hummed louder, uneven, as if the building was breathing through old lungs. The boy stood beside the open doorway at the end of the hall, his small figure half lit, half swallowed by shadow. "You have to go," he said again. "What happens if I don't?" I asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked down the hallway toward the elevator, the only bright, modern thing left on that floor. "It gets impatient," he said finally. The floor vibrated. A low mechanical shudder ran through the tiles beneath my feet. The elevator was moving again, without closing its doors. I turned and saw it. The doors were still open, but the car had begun to descend, slowly, grinding, as if the building had decided it didn't need the doors anymore. "That's not possible," I whispered. The boy shook his head. "It doesn't need to follow rules up here," he said. "They stopped checking." My radio crackled. The receptionist's voice came through in fragments. "It's moving. Doors open. Logs don't match." Then silence. The boy stepped closer to me. I noticed then that he didn't cast a shadow anymore. Not because the light had changed, because the floor no longer accepted him. "They never came back for me," he said softly. "They just sealed the floor, turned off the lights, told everyone the cameras were broken." My chest tightened. "You died here," I said. He shook his head. "Not all at once." The elevator stopped moving. The vibration faded. Then the ding echoed again, closer, louder. The sound climbed the shaft instead of falling down it. The elevator was coming back, fast. The lights flickered violently. Doors along the hallway rattled in their frames. Somewhere behind the walls, metal screamed against metal. The boy grabbed my sleeve. For the first time, I felt him, cold, not freezing, just unfinished. "It won't let both of us leave," he said. My heart slammed against my ribs. "What do you mean?" The elevator doors slammed shut, then reopened, harder this time. The hallway lights surged brighter, almost painful. The elevator was closer now, halfway down the hall where it didn't belong. Not attached to the shaft, just present. "That's not an elevator anymore," I whispered. The boy nodded. "It remembers the last thing it carried," he said, "and it doesn't like empty trips." I felt sick. "It wants a passenger." The building responded. The walls creaked. The floor dipped slightly beneath us. A voice, not the boys, not the receptionists, hummed through the lights. Not words. Permission. The elevator stopped directly in front of us. The doors slid open. Inside, the light was dimmer than before, stained, like it had learned the shape of fear. Only one button was lit, L lobby. The boy stepped back. "They always go down," he said. "That's how it works." I swallowed hard. "You're not going back in there," I said. He smiled sadly. I never left. The elevator chimed. Impatient now. Behind me, the hallway door slammed shut, the one that led to the stairs. The cameras wouldn't see this part. "You can hear me," the boy said. "That's why it showed me to you." I shook my head. "No," I whispered. "I won't let it take you again." He looked at me with something close to relief. "That's not what it wants," he said. The light surged. The elevator lurched forward an inch. Closer. I understood then. The building didn't care who went. It cared that someone did. The boy took a small step toward the elevator. The light steadied. The pressure eased. "Don't," I said. He stopped. The lights flickered violently again. The building groaned, angry. "I can't stay here forever," he said. "But you still can." The elevator doors began to close, slowly. The boy looked up at me. "Thank you for seeing me," he said, and he stepped inside. The doors slammed shut. The elevator dropped, fast, violent, gone. The hallway went dark. The hallway stayed dark for a long time, not empty, not quiet, just finished. I stood there, staring at the closed elevator doors long after they disappeared from view. The building felt lighter somehow, like something heavy had finally been moved, not removed, just relocated. The fourth floor no longer hummed. It didn't listen anymore. My radio crackled weakly. "Are you still there?" the receptionist asked. His voice sounded far away, smaller. "I'm coming down," I said. The stairwell door unlocked with a dull click. The building didn't resist me this time. That scared me more than if it had. I walked down slowly, each step echoing too loudly in the concrete shaft. Halfway down, I thought I heard the elevator moving again, not above me, not below me, but inside the walls. I didn't stop to listen. When I reached the lobby, the lights were on full brightness, too bright. The receptionist was standing behind the desk, hands gripping the edge like he needed to hold onto something solid. He looked at me, then behind me, then back at me. "You came down alone," he said. I nodded. He turned one of the monitors toward me. The footage was paused. Elevator interior, lobby camera, timestamp blinking red. "Watch," he said. On the screen, the elevator doors opened in the lobby. Empty. No boy. No shadow. Nothing stepped out. But the elevator didn't close. It stayed open for a long time. Then, slowly, the doors closed by themselves. "That's it?" I whispered. The receptionist shook his head. "No." He rewound the footage, played it again, this time frame by frame. Just before the doors closed, the audio meter spiked, briefly. A child's breath, exhaled, relieved. I felt my throat tighten. "He went down," I said. The receptionist nodded. "And the system logged it." He pulled up the elevator log. A new entry blinked at the bottom. 2:49 a.m. Passenger delivered, no name, no floor, just delivered. The rest of the shift passed without incident. No flickering lights, no moving cameras, no unexplained stops. The building was calm, satisfied. At dawn, I turned in my badge. No argument, no questions. They didn't ask what happened on the fourth floor. I didn't tell them. The building was renovated 6 months later. The fourth floor was reopened. New offices, new walls, new lights. They removed the old elevator, replaced it with a modern one, silent, efficient, unaware. But sometimes, when I'm in tall buildings late at night, I still feel it. That pause, that hesitation before the doors close, like something checking if it's alone again. I don't take elevators at night anymore, not because I'm afraid of what might come out, but because I know sometimes they come down empty, and sometimes they don't. If this story stayed with you, subscribe, because some places don't want to be haunted. They just don't want to be forgotten. And sometimes all they need is someone who can still hear.